Today's guest is Maisie Smith-Lovett. I'm not going to call her Maisie, it's Maisie. And she's a holistic health practitioner and a trauma healer. And she's got an adorable accent that is very different from mine. We are going to talk about gut health and how trauma manifests in the gut. Let me just see if she's here yet. This might, oh, there she is. Okay. So as any of you who are, well, let me, oh, there she is. Just
Did we get it?
Just flip the camera around me. Ah, there you are. You did it. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. So as Maisie knows, that we're dealing with a community of people who are experiencing a lot of trauma, especially through the legal system, and having a very difficult ex, whether it's male or female, and being stuck in this system that's compounding the trauma on a regular basis. Even if they're not in court dealing with an ex, there's a sense of dread of like, what's going to happen next? What bomb is about to drop? What if the person takes my kids away? What if I have no money to live on? So it's endless trauma that can go on for years. So today we're going to talk about why to pay attention to your gut and how trauma manifests into physical health, since a lot of our clients get very, very sick from this kind of situation. So before we even have you introduce yourself, can you talk about how common it is, Maisie, for our bodies to be impacted by this kinds of stress? Like, is this typical or is it unusual? Duh.
So I'm glad you're asking that. So as far as the way that, let me just kind of give you a brief rundown of like how trauma works, how it affects your body. So when we get into some kind of trauma experience, whether it's a capital T or a little t, like I tell my clients, it's going to rock your nervous system. And when it does, our body goes into that fight or flight response. So when it's going into that fight or flight response, it's going to start shutting down and slowing down your digestive tract, everything, like all your organ functions. So it's kind of, it's doing everything possible right now to say, hey, we're not safe. We have to find safety. What does it look like? What does it feel like? And we're trying to get back down to that baseline. So the way that trauma impacts your physical health, it's supposed to be, our bodies are designed to like be in that moment of fight or flight, we get past it, and then we go back to the baseline. But it doesn't always work like that. When we're in a constant state of stress and high anxiety, maybe we feel like we're walking on eggshells, or we're constantly in this place of like, what bomb's going to drop next? And where's it going to come from? And we're trying to kind of like from the movie Inside Out 2, where anxiety is like running all around. When we stay in that constant state, the nervous system doesn't get a chance to drop down. So it's going to stay in that heightened space, and our gut is going to get affected because our gut and brain are super connected. We're going to get into a place of like the bubbly guts, the IBS issues. We'll have hormones that are not producing. You're not sleeping good. You're constantly with these swirling thoughts, and it's not allowing you to have the balance in your hormones and everything that you need to feel in that place of peace and rest. So the body's in fight, flight, survival mode of how do we calm down? How do we find safety? I'm not safe. Make me feel safe. And it's just struggling to get there. So it's going to manifest in inflammation. You know, your gut is going to have a lot of inflammation. Your body's going to hurt. It's going to ache. It's going to feel tired all the time. Like there's no creative brain space. There's no, like, it's boxed in, and it's going to affect every area of your life, including every area of your health.
Yeah, yeah. So, Maisie, now can you tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do to address these issues, and then we'll keep going with more questions.
Yes. So I'm Maisie Smith-Lovett. I am the CEO and founder of MSL Holistic Wellness Coaching. I've been running my business for over 11 years, and I'm a holistic health practitioner and trauma healer. So this is a lot of the work that I do with my clients, helping them to be able to rebalance their gut health, their hormones, their metabolism, lose the weight, keep it off for good. But we're doing all of this through a way of getting our nervous system out of the fight or flight mode, cultivating a sense of peace, and really rediscovering who we are and connecting with ourselves so we can have the body, the confidence, everything in our life that we crave and desire.
Yeah, which is hard to imagine when you're under so much stress. And I think about in the earlier days of my own separation and divorce, how I was working out all the time, and I was trying to be careful of what I was eating, and I always have been slender. And when I went to the doctor's like, you're bordering on being overweight. And I was like, what are you talking about? That's not right. Like, it can't, that scale cannot be telling me the truth, because I am working out 4 days a week and there's no way that I should be gaining weight. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, again, our nervous system is going to be in that fight or flight mode. Look, I see this all the time with a lot of the women that I work with, and myself included. When I'm in those high stressful states, it doesn't matter how hard I'm working out in the gym. My body's just like, hey, sis, we're going to resist, because it's not going to operate properly. Less is more in a lot of these situations. It's all about mind. I'm very big into restorative mindful movements. Movements that are going to be more geared towards allowing more flexibility, mobility, pelvic floor, strength, everything that's functional. Because if we can't function, what is the purpose of us actually working out? It's not just going to be for great looks all the time. Because like in your case, you go work out and it's like, hey, I'm gaining, I'm not understanding what's going on. So when our body is working against us, we have to turn around and give it the right protocol, the right environment, the right everything, love, support, the TLC that our body needs to be able to lower that nervous system, because our stress levels are up here, through the roof. We have our hormones going all wacky, and our gut is saying, hey, I'm having a problem and you're still not giving me what I need to help. So we start lacking in certain nutrients, our food, we're craving all these things. And look, I tell my clients a lot this too, whenever it comes to cravings. So I don't know if you guys are facing any of the cravings through the high stress and everything like that, but when you're craving something, if it's crunchy, we have a lot of built up frustration. That's all going to be impacted here. Your shoulders, your chest, just this entire area. And it's all everything to munch and crunch and everything. So there's going to be a lot of tension in this area. It could be tension headaches, TMJ problems, thyroid issues, heart palpitations, like all those things are impacted. But when we're craving more sweets and soft, like chocolates, things like that, there's an intimacy here that's lacking. So we're missing in connection. We're missing in that intimacy that we could be having. Even if you're not a physical touchy person, there's probably an inner child in you that's like, can somebody just love me? Can somebody just hold me? Can somebody just care for me? And that's what your body's just constantly searching for. And it's giving us these silent whispers that tell us, hey, I need help. I'm trying to find safety and I don't know what it looks like. I may not know what I need, but these are my cues that say, can you help me in this area?
That is so fascinating. Like the crunchy versus sweet. I've never heard that. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So why is it so important to address physical health, especially when we are going through and healing from emotional or psychological abuse?
Well, for a lot of times, and for a lot of people, our emotions are up and down, right? So when you're going through high conflict situations, or you're going through the divorce, or you're going through any of these traumas that are, and big T, little t, that are impacting your body in such a way, your emotions are like this. We're on a roller coaster here, and having that self-control, because sometimes it's easy to not have self-control, right? Whenever we're in this angered state. And I just want to say, there's nothing wrong with anger. There's nothing wrong with frustration. Self-composure, though, do that in your own quiet time and have that space to give to yourself, to just have that moment of like screaming and yelling and hollering and whatever you got to do to get the frustration out, but get it out. Give it to yourself to get it out. Your emotions are going to be all over the place. The more that we hoard our emotions, or we get into a place of like pushing it to the back burner, I'll deal with it later, let me just keep rolling, going through the punches, you're going to end up with back pains, because you're pushing all that emotion behind you. So now you're having back pains, you're having, leg issues or whatever, sciatica problems, like everything starts to compound and it's hurting. The body's hurting. And it's also hurting because our emotions are everywhere. So when you're going through legal systems and everything like that, there's just so much pressure and so much stress that's continuously on you that it's weighing you down. Think of it like gravity. What goes up must come down. It's the same way that it's doing on your body, and your body's just literally begging for rest. So when you're doing, simultaneously, when you're taking care of your health while you're going through all these new changes, all these situations, high conflicts, everything, it's giving you that peace of mind going through it. Peace of mind and peace, PEACE, see physically in your body. So that way you're not manifesting more health problems later. So when everything's over and or everything kind of starts settling down a little bit, you're not going running to the doctor using up all your premium. You're like, heck yes, I got this. I'm in control of my mind. That is the only thing that we can control. Our mind, our thoughts, our actions, our beliefs. That is it. And the more that we can spend time with ourselves, loving ourselves and nurturing ourselves, because a lot of us, maybe grew up in a place where we weren't nurtured enough, or we weren't in a relationship where we were feeling nurtured in that way. But the more that you can give back to yourself and replenish in that state, the less health issues you're going to have, period.
As you're saying that about pushing emotions down because we're so busy with court and parenting, and I think about many people in this situation who are like, I have to take care of my kids first. I have to get these documents done. I have to do all these other things first. And they just naturally put their their health and the things that are bothering them on hold, because they're like, I don't have time.
Right.
I don't have time to work on myself.
My biggest thing, and I tell this to my clients all the time, can you give yourself 5 minutes? 5 minutes a day, maybe even 10. 10's a lot. I get it. But 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes before you go to bed, even split them up. Give yourself time during the day. I don't care if it's a minute on the clock and that's all you have in this moment. It is going to be more about being present instead of thinking over here. Because when we're thinking over here in the past, or we're thinking over here in the future and we're trying to get ahead of it, you're still 72,000 steps behind. Because one small turn is going to be like, okay, well, that scenario is not going to play out. Now I got to refinagle this. Now I got to go back to this one. Hang on, this has to be done. Kids need me over here. And I get it. I'm in this situation of like, my kids always need me. My clients always need me. Like I'm being pulled and juggled in 75,000 different directions, but it does not stop me from taking care of myself. Because when I can at least give 5 minutes to myself a day in the morning before my kids get up or whatever, it allows me to be a more patient mom. It allows me to show up and be more present and like really get down on their level. I will bend down on my kids' level because they're so young and they're so little. I'll get down on their level and I'll be like, what do you need right now? How can mommy support you? But the only reason that I can give that, even just a little bit, even if 10% is my 100%, it's because I gave at least 5 minutes to myself. And I don't mean like go through and journal anything random or journal all your thoughts and word vomit on a piece of paper. There's a structure that I give with my clients that help them to get out of that fight or flight mode. There is a structure behind journaling and nourishing your body. There's strategies that go into it that are so important to each person, their situation, their scenario, everything that they're going through, that helps you to be able to get out of that and to show up present. One of the biggest things that I try to ignite for a lot of people is when you're in this state of, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Everything's about to fall apart and you can't think clearly.
That's who you're talking to right now.
Yeah, start like activating your 5 senses. What can I smell right now? And if you can't think about that, what can I see? Start picking all the colors of the rainbow. Like really, it's going to get you more present in the moment. And it's going to help you to build that self-control as well. The awareness of when the triggers come up, the awareness of when do I need to be silent? When do I need to speak? When do I just give somebody the space to be however they want to be, but how you respond, how you react is all on you, and when we're triggered, look, believe me, there's moments that I'm just as guilty. There's moments of getting that trigger and it's just like, I'm going to blow up. And there are moments that I have, and I'm like, okay, well, I feel like a crappy mom for doing that. Like maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to repair and reconnect with my kid in whatever situation that was. Look, mommy's so sorry. And I get it because I'm in that, I've been in that space too, where it's been constant. But the more that I continue to pour into myself of what do I need? How can I love on myself? How can I make sure that I'm in a good space so I can continue to give more, even if it's just 5%, 1% that I give to myself, it's going to compound over time on a daily basis. I'm not asking that you give yourself an hour, but if we go get our hair done, we get our nails done, whatever the case is, that's so temporary. It's only going to get you so far. So having that ability to like just do the little small things for yourself a day are going to give you more of that peace that your body is searching for on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, we hear the term self-regulation often, especially when it comes to dealing with your children. People often say, what can I do to help my kids get through this because I'm suffering so much and I don't want them to suffer. And it seems like expert after expert says you need to take care of yourself because your kids are
Yeah.
also looking to you and learning how to take care of themselves. So if you're a mess, but you're just struggling to keep everything together, they're going to absorb that tension too.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do is anything to keep your mental and physical health sacred, even like you're saying, like even a little bit. And
5 minutes.
teaches
Yeah.
them priorities too. Like if you're saying, I just need 5 minutes to myself so that I can calm myself down or whatever, because it's good for my health, like your kid will learn those same habits.
Yes. Oh, we're very big on boundaries. I do work with my kids a lot on boundaries, and they've seen me in my journal time. They've seen me in my quiet time. They have come to respect that. At first they didn't understand, but now I see them, they'll ask for like birthdays or Christmas or whatever. Mommy, can you get me a journal so I can journal with you? Mommy, what should I journal about? And I'm like, why don't you talk about the things that you're grateful for? If that's all you can give in that moment is like, I need to center myself on what am I grateful for right now, then it can really, again, it's compacting and compounding on that over time. It's start with the small, simple little things. Nobody's asking for you to like do a complete 180 in 24 hours. It's not going to happen. But it's that continuous self-awareness and that being mindful of where you are here in time and space. And my kids have learned on that. We have chore charts, we have things like that. And let me tell you the ages of my kids. I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And even my 3-year-old knows how to hang up his clothes because we're just so much into like, how can we do this as a unit? How can I show you that together? We're together in this. We're always going to be together in this. Mommy's here with you. Mommy loves you. Mommy supports you in everything that you want to do, regardless of whatever's going on in your life, because their lives, school days, whatever, they come home, they've had a bad day at school. I don't know what that looks like because I wasn't there, but I know what it feels like. And I know what emotions I need to help them regulate as well. And it's just holding space, giving them space to like, do you need to punch a pillow? Do we need to, go run around and release some energy? Like, what do we need to do to help you in this moment? And it's I ask a lot of questions and, appeal to my kids in that way so that I can learn them better and learn how to help them manage their emotions as well, so they don't have these trauma triggers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a theme of not suppressing your emotions,
Yes.
but figuring out ways to deal with them. But what would you say to people, but women in particular, who feel stuck? Like that's where a lot of our people are. They feel stuck because they're ashamed. I think I told you a lot of our clients tend to be very highly educated professionals. A lot of them are very successful in other areas in their lives, and they just feel so embarrassed and ashamed that they have ended up in one of these relationships, which of course affect 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men. So it's really common, but people don't remember that. They feel like I don't want to tell anybody because I just feel horrible. And of course I'm stuck because I'm not reaching out for help.
Yeah. And look, there's no shame, no blame, no, nothing in that. There's like, I tell a lot of my clients whenever we get to a point of compassion, because I talk a lot about what I call the 6-part self. There are 6 parts that make up who we are. We have self-identity. We have our self-worth or self-value, however you want to look at that one, self-approval, self-acceptance, self-love, that make up your self-power. If one of these 5 are out, this doesn't exist. So when we're trying to rebuild and, work through each of these 5 key things, we're rebuilding our self-confidence, our self-trust, really becoming more of who we are. And so I get the blame. I totally understand that. You're not wrong for feeling these things, but I want to also put you in this perspective like I would give my clients. If you were talking to your best friend right now, how would you hold space for them, him or her? What kinds of questions would you ask? Sure, there's, we get in those moments where it's like, support me, defend with me, get mad with me, all these things, but it's also being in that place of like, what do you need? Because I get the embarrassment, the shame, the everything. I should have known better. How dare I do this? A lot of this can come from trauma wounds growing up. So I'm going to encourage some of you go back, do some, connecting with your younger self. Where did I not measure up? Because part of that plays into there. Between the ages of 0 to 7 and 7 to 14, so much happens there. So if I didn't measure up in some way, shape, or form, I'm expected to do better and be better. What if I could give myself some grace and compassion? What if I could give myself permission? That's another thing that I work a lot with my clients on. Give yourself permission to sit with yourself, to think on these things, to reflect back into, it's not so much of, the blame here or everything in the past. How have I learned from this and how can I move forward? What are some new things new boundaries that I can set for myself? And let me tell you, it's not easy. Everything that I'm saying is not easy. This has taken me years to get to this place. It's taken me continuous journaling, continuous sitting with myself, and being in a place of, I don't want this anymore, whatever this is, whatever situation that I'm in, that I'm blaming myself for or anything like that. But I have to give myself grace and compassion because I'm only human. I'm not perfect. I don't expect perfection for myself. Maybe others have expected that from me, but I don't expect that for myself. And those people don't get to sit at my table. Those people don't get to sit with me and they don't get to be a part of it. It's an honor to sit at my table. And let me tell you, for those of you that are watching, it's an honor to sit at your table. And those people who are sitting with you, they're either going to lift you up or they're going to tear you down. And you have to determine who sits in those seats and who don't, because that's a huge piece of how you're going to build up who you are and allow yourself that grace and compassion. But think about it from the perspective of, if I'm talking to my best friend, how am I going to hold my best friend? How am I going to love my best friend through this? Like, sis, bro, how can I be with you? What do you need? And if you don't know what you need, it's how can I support you? Have that conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's huge on breaking out of that.
When you talked about sitting with yourself, I think that's, well, first of all, let me say, as a former English teacher and as a writer myself, I love hearing that you are writing with your children and they're asking for journals. I mean, that is awesome, because writing, that's a whole other topic, but forcing people to slow down and reflect, and the act of writing, handwriting, not just typing on a computer, that really helps in so many ways, in terms of settling the body as well as the brain. But the other thing you talked about was sitting with yourself. And I think part of what people might not realize is that they're going through a grieving process as well, which can also be embarrassing because their brain is like, well, this is a toxic relationship. Like, I know I shouldn't feel bad, but I do. It's still a grieving process.
100%, 100%. And I think a lot of times too, we're grieving old versions of ourselves. It's not just grieving the relationship. Of course, there is that, because I've been in that space before, grieving, past relationships. And it's like, did I do something wrong? I thought I gave it my best. I thought I showed up as this authentic person who was loving and accepting and like, let me help you and like build the potential and, help you chase your dreams and all this. Cause that's the type of person that I am. Even with my clients, like, it's like, we're going to help you build your dreams and we're going to chase them. And I've always been that person. But even on the inside, it was a moment for me to really sit with, there's an old version of myself that's dying here, because I no longer choose to accept this space, that I've been in. It is allowing me to grow into a new version of myself and to love myself in a new way. I've loved myself in this way. I'm not going to say that I berated myself or hated myself. Sure, I probably beat myself up and those constant swirling thoughts, intrusive thoughts that came in, but like, this doesn't serve me anymore. And now I'm having to flip the script over here and say, I love you and thank you for helping me to be where I am today, and basically giving her a hug like, hey, I've done this through different parts of my life. Thank you so much for being here for me in this moment. But now I need to grow over here. Now I need to be with myself over here and love myself in this next version and learn what she's about and how she's going to get me to the next level. And, wherever I want to be in my life, to the next relationship that's going to be more positive. Let's break the cycle. How do we do this? Break those patterns, because I've seen it even with my own clients. They'll get trapped in these relationships that are just pattern after pattern after pattern after pattern. And they're like, what is wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It is this version of you that you're noticing no longer is accepting, and it's no longer serving you. So it's now making new boundaries. Like I teach my kids boundaries. What are those boundaries? Where are these lines that I'm saying, hey, this is where I'm going to have to choose me. And you can either walk with me and grow with me, or you can get away from my table. But this is my table. It's my safe and sacred space. And again, it takes a while to get there. It's not something that's going to get there overnight. But it is just, it's being one with yourself in that space and really honoring yourself in a new light, just like others would see you and honor you. If you're the biggest cheerleader for so many other people, like my clients are, they're the biggest cheerleader for everybody else. They can't be, right?
People
Can't be it for
pleasers as well.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we fall into that people pleasing and, you know, the servicing mindset of I have to be a good steward and I have to be a good wife and, you know, I have to do all these things. And it's a bow down submissive thing. And I will tell you, religion trauma exists. There's nothing wrong with religion. There's nothing wrong with your beliefs. But religion trauma does exist in that place of you need to, this is what the Bible says, this is how you're supposed to be, blah, 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 blah. But if you don't feel that in your heart, there's a place to be loving and submissive when you're in a healthy and secure attachment and relationship with a partner who loves and supports and encourages you every freaking step of the way for everything that you want to do. How you're the biggest cheerleader for a lot of other people is how your partner is going to be for you. And that is when you know there's that connection there that isn't going to tear you down as a person. Does that make sense? I just kind of went on a tangent.
That's okay. No, that's okay. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about. I would love to go in that direction, but of course, I think our people are like, well, I'm not dealing with a wonderful partner right now.
Right.
I'm in the middle of this awful, like, legal and emotional battle. And I don't know how I can start healing when I've got years and weeks of constant terrorist attacks from my ex, from their attorney, and I have to go to court and I'm bleeding money and I'm terrified for my kids. So how can someone simultaneously heal when they're being hit with trauma every single day?
Well, for one, journaling is my biggest thing. So journaling and sitting with yourself and really noticing more about where do your thoughts trail. And I know that's like the opposite of what most people would tell you of like, oh, think happy thoughts, but really notice where those thoughts trail. Where do those triggers come up? The more that you can put yourself in a place of self-awareness, the more you can get out of it, you know, get out of the triggers and everything like that. One of the biggest things that I tell my clients is focusing on nourishing your body. So nourishing your body, staying hydrated, eating healthy, or at least making healthier choices, because it's this cycle that we live in. When we don't feel good, we chase bad food. When we eat bad food, our body doesn't feel good. So if we can make some small adjustments here and there, guys, just eat vegetables. Like not only vegetables, but just add vegetables to every freaking meal. That's what we start with our clients. Add vegetables to every freaking meal because your vegetables, so the way that your body works, we have the macronutrients, which are your proteins, fats, and carbs. And then we have the micronutrients, which are your vitamins, your minerals, and everything else. Your vegetables are going to fill this gap over here. So if we're depleted in a lot of nutrients, let's say our vitamin D is low or our vitamin B or whatever, your zinc, all these things, your vegetables are going to help you to build that up. This is where you're going to feel good. It's not just here, it's here too, right? But here, we don't need to pack it on. This isn't the only things that we need to be eating. Fats are going to help you sleep better at night. Increase your fats before you go to bed. Mm-hmm. Increase like cinnamon. That's another thing. So, but nourishing your body. Yes, it's higher in magnesium. So like some of my clients, I had a client come to me one time and she was like, look, you told me to eat some avocados. Is it okay if I put cinnamon on it? And I said, well, you'll boost your magnesium doing that. But I'm like, can you let me know if it tastes good? And she was like, it's delicious. The whole team after that was hooked on it. It was delicious. Something none of us were like, we were all like, that's weird, but sure, we'll try it. And it's like, it'll help you sleep better. You know, boost your magnesium, which is one of the things that most of us need to calm that nervous system down. So nourishing your body, healthy fats, lean proteins, lots of vegetables, make it the color of the rainbow. Mm-hmm. Only eat the ones that you like. Don't eat things you don't like. I don't like Brussels sprouts. You'll never see me eat them. So, but really focusing on the nutrition aspects of those things. Another thing that you could do is some breath work and journaling. If breath work is all you could do in that moment, for most of my, like myself and my clients, we're not ones to sit still very long.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about breathing is just not something fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a piece of it that I do go over with my clients. If there's moments where I'm highly anxious and I can't get out of it, I am over here putting one hand on my chest and I'm putting one hand on my belly. And I'm like, which one is moving when I'm breathing? If it is my hand that is moving up here and it's my chest, then I'm chest breathing and I'm stress breathing,
Mm-hmm.
which means the brain, the lungs, we're not getting enough oxygen in these areas. So let's shift it. So then we'll focus on, if you have to close your eyes or whatever, focus on just your belly moving, not your hand up here in your chest. And that's one exercise that I give my clients to do. That's where you'll know how to get into more of a rest and digest state. If that's all you can give to yourself in that moment, do that. Journaling is another big thing, really focusing in on, what are your cravings? What are your frustrations? Where am I at right now? Where am I right now in this moment? And then even asking on the flip side, how do I want to feel instead? And then really gearing yourself towards what's one step that I can do right now that can actually make me feel this positive way that I want to feel. And then, of course, when you're doing the physical health of things, like I said in the beginning, the restorative mindful movements, really less is more. We're not trying to go run a marathon. That's not going to help, but less is more. Just do mindful movements, things that are going to help you to heal your body. I say that to give you an example. So I ended up tweaking my back not too long ago, bodybuilding and everything like that. And it was hurting for months. And I knew, like my intuition kept saying, if we'd slow down in the gym and stop trying to kill it all the time to release frustration, we might love ourselves a bit more and reduce the inflammation. And I started doing that. I didn't go to the doctor, I didn't do any of that. I did go to a couple of chiropractor appointments, but they weren't working as good as they had worked in the past. And I finally just shifted to more mindful movements. And literally in a couple of weeks, the pain was gone. I was like, if I'd have done this in the first place, instead of beating myself up over it, trying to push more, slow down, go a little bit less. You don't have to do an hour of a workout. You don't have to do even 30 minutes. 10 to 12 minutes, mindful movements are going to be more impactful than anything else. So,
Wow, so helpful, Maisie. I'm like taking all these notes and thinking, I got to remember this. I got to watch it afterwards. Avocados with cinnamon, very interesting though.
put some pink salt on it. It's really good.
Ooh, I have that. All right, I'm hungry also. So, how can people find you? How can people learn more about this?
So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, obviously. Facebook would be going to facebook.com/Maisie Roy. I can put the link below for you guys so you can add me on there. That's where I spend a lot of my time. I have community groups over there, free community groups that you can join. I also have a freebie that I'm happy to give you guys, which would be on the 3 key things no one tells you about when it comes to emotional wounds impacting your weight loss or your physical health, just to kind of get you guys in more of some of those journal prompts. I have there's a training in there, there's a workbook in there that gives you more specific journal exercises to get out of that fight or flight mode. So if that's helpful for you guys, I'm happy to share that as well. You can go grab that, and completely free. And then just give me some feedback on it. Let me know how it works for you, because if you need more, I'm here for it and I'm here to help. So,
oh my gosh, thank you so much. This has been really helpful. I'm like, I want to read your stuff. Find out.
well, you are more than welcome to get it.
I will. All right. Well, thank you so much, Maisie. This has been amazing. And I know it's going to help a lot of people.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thank you, you guys, for being here. And I'm excited to see how I can support you guys in the future.
Yes. Thanks again. Okay. Bye.